please.
I will call the Cookeville City Council meeting for Thursday, what is the date? November 6th to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilman Baji? Here. Councilman Walker? Here. Mayor Wheaton?
Here.
Vice Mayor Eldridge?
Here.
Councilman Gilbert? Here. I present.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to ask those that wish to do so to stand for the invocation given tonight by Pastor Mark Davis, Vine Branch Community Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening. Let's pray. Father, we just want to pause for a moment and recognize you are King, you're our creator. And we're thankful and grateful, Father, that we get to live in a land where we can do this, where we can pray, we can do things, Father, democratically, make decisions, and realizing that you're the one who set it all up, that every good and perfect gift comes from above. Father, we thank you for this council. We thank you for our town. We pray your wisdom would fall on this place, and especially for our council members and our mayor and our vice mayor, and for all those that are working in our city who work hard every day to protect us and to serve us. We're thankful for them and thankful for you and thankful for this time that we get to be together in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Item 3, consider approval of agenda as presented. Are there any changes?
Yes, Mayor, there'll be one change. We're gonna pull item 7B, which is ordinance 25-10-19. This will go back to the planning commission and the council will hear it at some point in the future.
Thank you. Do I have a motion on the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Got a motion by Vice Mayor Eldridge, second by Councilman Bachi. Any discussion from the council? Okay, go ahead and vote on that.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. 5A, consider approval of minutes of council meeting held on October 16th, 2025. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Eldridge, seconded by Councilman Gilbert. Any discussion from the public? Discussion from council? Okay, go ahead and vote on that.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. For the consent agenda, 6A, set a date 12/4/25 for a public hearing on ordinance 025-1120, rezoning 208 East, East Stevens Street, tax map 53K, Group J, parcel 20.00, from RD single family and duplex residential to CL local commercial. 6B, consider approval to purchase the third of 3 12-month off Microsoft 365 subscriptions, first approved by the City Council on September 21st, 2023. And 6C, consider awarding bid for steel poles. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Bachi, seconded by Councilman Gilbert. Any discussion from the council? Okay, go ahead and vote on that.
Gotta hit the right button. All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. On to new business. 7A, hold a public hearing and consider on first reading ordinance 025-1018, amending the zoning code, section 221 CL, local commercial, and section 222 CG, general commercial, to permit subdividing commercial units on individual lots upon review by the planning commission. Mr. Ward.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Currently, the Cookeville zoning code allows single-family attached developments such as townhomes to be subdivided on individually owned lots. The Planning Division has received multiple requests from developers asking for similar flexibility in commercial developments. The Planning Division proposed an amendment to sections 221 and sections 222 of the zoning code. This amendment would add new provisions, sections 221.3B and sections 222.3B, to allow for attached commercial units and commercial cluster developments to be approved as a use permitted upon review, subject to specific standards. Some of these standards include any proposed attached or cluster commercial development would require site plan and subdivision plat approval by the Planning Commission, meeting the requirements of the Cookeville subdivision regulations. Access to individual parcels would come from internal streets or shared parking areas, unless otherwise approved by the Planning Commission. These developments would follow the same design and access standards used for the planned commercial development districts. Minimum lot area in these developments could be calculated based on the overall site, as long as the final plat included restriction prohibiting future subdivision that might reduce overall densities. The Planning Commission may also approve reduced lot widths and front setback reductions from internal streets within a development to allow for better site design and layout. All developments must comply with architectural design requirements included in the zoning code and the general sign regulations also in the zoning code. Any proposal that included any type of residential component or a conversion to a residential component would be required to submit a site plan to receive Planning Commission approval before proceeding. This amendment would apply to the CG General Commercial and CL Local Commercial zoning districts. It would allow for individual ownership of commercial units within larger developments, creating greater flexibility and more diverse ownership opportunities for small businesses and investors. Our review of this, we felt like the change supported Cookeville's continued growth by encouraging modern and adaptable commercial development patterns while maintaining appropriate oversight through the Planning Commission. At Monday's work session, some council expressed concern with commercial ownership agreements within these. The standards adopted, the standards proposed would require the developments to meet the standards of the Cookeville subdivision regulations. In our subdivision regulations, we require maintenance agreements submitted for any development with private street components. So that's where we get what would be similar to an HOA for a commercial development. But Monday at our work session Monday, the city attorney present, Mr. Danny Rader, had posed some questions about parking requirements, specifically about handicap parking requirements. So at this time, I recommend we refer this back to the Planning Commission so that those concerns could be addressed about handicap parking. Happy to answer any questions from the council. I felt like since we had already advertised for public hearing, though, that we would at least move forward with what was recommended by the Planning Commission. So happy to answer any questions from the council on this.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Come on. Oh, you got a question? Okay.
Well, we're going to open it for public, we are going to do the public hearing still, and then we can have discussion at the public hearing. Is that what you?
Sure.
Okay, but we need a motion and a second to open it up. I got a motion.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a second.
Second.
Okay.
Second, then we're making a motion to take it back to planning.
That's my recommendation. Obviously, it's up to the council.
We're going to open it for the public hearing. We're going to do the public hearing since we,
Gotcha.
yeah, since we've already scheduled it. Right. I think that was our agreement. We're going to go ahead and do the public hearing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, sweet.
So we got a motion and a second to open up the public hearing. Okay. So at this time, we'll have the public hearing. So is there anyone who would like to speak on this agenda item? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Now discussion.
I still have some concerns with this. I think the handicap parking was one of them. And just the idea of not necessarily how it would apply to new construction. I could see the viability of this, certainly for areas that were designed for it. But the viability of like many of our old shopping centers and strip malls that are in Cookeville, them having multiple owners within those developments make it harder, I feel like, over time. I mean, in some instances, it might make it easier, but when you look at improvements to these centers, improvements to those things, you know, you're having to get multiple owners in line, both financially and agree to get something improved. And I think that's a higher burden than for someone to decide to sell it or, you know, improve it themselves or sell it if they can't. And I think that's my biggest concern. I think handicap parking alone illustrates that. You know, one use might be a restaurant, which needs a lot of parking. The next use might be something else that doesn't need a lot of parking. Well, use over time and developments changes. And so how these subdivision requirements that we're requiring that are similar to our residential subdivision requirements should be much more in depth for a commercial property because there's so much more to consider than what you can consider with a residential subdivision. There's more challenges like use. With a residential subdivision, there's only one use and you know, lot size doesn't change over time. And so, you know, with commercial properties, often they can get reconfigured. The square footage can change. You know, you might end up with more than one use in one parcel. And so I think that just, it's very complicated. I, for one, would like to study it a little further, but I would move to, I mean, if we want to focus on the handicap parking, but I think I have some other concerns as well, but I would move to, I would like to make a motion to amend the motion on the table to move this back to the Planning Commission for further study. And any further
Yeah.
discussion?
I don't think, but maybe discuss it
Yeah.
before we.
Yeah.
I'll hold my motion for discussion.
We'll continue discussion.
Eric, none of those, I don't think any of those points could be, all of them are worthy of discussion. I suspect the ordinance, though, speaks to most of those. And if you bring a site plan, my inclination is to try and make something work here. I think the spirit of this is helpful for commercial development. I think getting ownership and another opportunity of versatility for owners to take, whether it be just something short of right of ownership or whatever reason, like you said, some small business being able to start up and have ownership. I think that's a good thing we should try and enable. But doesn't the ordinance speak to, or just the planning commission process of the site plan? Even if it's an existing facility, they have to submit a site plan. They have to meet those things. And if they don't qualify. And so it kind of solves itself through the ordinance, does it not?
And we had quite a few discussions about this. It didn't come out of the planning commission the first month it was presented. We talked about old existing centers. I mean, there's a higher threshold they would have to meet, right? I mean, you have to have 1 hour firewall separations, 2 1 hour firewalls to do any subdividing with the air gap. The property lines run through the air gaps. And to speak to parking, I mean, we have buildings that want to change uses a lot of times, but whether or not they can meet the requirements to change uses is what, either permits that change to happen or doesn't happen. Yes. Yeah. I mean, so, and we require, a change of use to demonstrate that they meet the requirements of the code, whether that's parking or, any of the other factors that might be, some occupancies require sprinklers, some do not, right? I mean, you've either got to meet that or you do not. I mean, there's square footage requirements are different thresholds. If you're woodworking, things like that, you have a much smaller square footage requirement to sprinkle a structure versus, other type of commercial uses. So
I tend to agree with Eric, but I think the ordinance already speaks to all that.
And I think too, if I understand you correctly, it's just more of a burden and a challenge, a heavier lift to get all the other property owners. Let's say you have to come up with some kind of plan and you want to change use. Now you've got a higher burden to meet to get the other property owners to agree.
these commercial ownership agreements, like a commercial HOA are pretty complex agreements, right? I mean, they really are. And that, that's something that lots of different centers have in place that share parking areas and have common elements within those, whether it's the driveways, the access, your parking areas. But I do think Councilman Walker has a point with how this could get complicated for whomever is proposing to do this, right? It has to be a property owner that's willing to bring this forward and present a plan for consideration.
But if they solve those complexities, we shouldn't. I don't think we should get in the way of that, coupled with the ordinance that already regulates everything.
Subdivisions that have really bad OAs don't do well over time.
No.
And so you don't want that happening because of the complexities on some of these commercial properties. We don't want to see commercial properties remain at their lowest use because they can't overcome the complexities that this would require, that somebody figured out now to get it sold. But 20 years from now all these owners have changed hands. People have not knowingly entered into these complex transactions that are just because they felt like it was the right thing to do for their business. But 10 years down the road, they go to sell it and they can't get the same use or they can't get the same thing. I think the public also has an interest. I mean, when we go to widen roadways, are we going to be dealing with one property owner or are we going to be dealing with 12 when we come across one of these? I mean, if the city enacts with commercial property over time, I mean, how would this affect something like Fifth Street if several of these? I mean, is that many more property owners that we've got to negotiate with each one? If one doesn't like it, the other 5 within the property who did approve it, how does that work out because they share?
We see that with LLCs a lot now, right? I mean, you have multiple owners in LLCs a lot of times that own a property and it's, somebody's got to be able to
I mean, that-
negotiate on behalf of that LLC. Somebody's empowered to do that negotiation or sign off on an acquisition or something like you're talking
Yeah,
about.
well, I mean, would this work the same way? Would this work to give one person power to negotiate for the other property owners within that?
The agreement was speaking of it presumably, and if not, you'd have multiple agreements and yes, there'd be more work and I'm in favor of less work for anyone, including the city, but we can't necessarily mandate that. Just on the chances we may have to ask a few more people something. I don't know that that's a point of consideration that we should be dwelling on.
I agree, we don't, but I do feel like there's more questions than answers right now.
Certainly from our seat, we
Yeah.
want to make sure that our legal
Yeah,
staff's comfortable with what's being
yeah. So-
proposed. So that's a first step to moving forward.
Yeah.
For our recommendation, we got to make sure
The
that,
spirit-
Yeah.
Spirit is to allow,
More
a
property
business,
owners,
a
yes,
business owner.
yeah.
People to own
into
or-
the-
I just don't think it's quite clean enough to move through. And that's just me, because you just brought some stuff that I do have questions about as well. So I would like to have a little more legal look at it. And so that would require going back to the planning commission. And
Hey, I would
then,
just
if
ask,
there's
yeah,
not-
look-
if there's not any significant changes, we can keep it the way it is, correct? Am I understanding?
I don't,
This is the first
if the
reading?
changes aren't substantive, I would defer, but
Well, so Mr. Rader and I discussed this today. The issue is the plan from the work session was, I think you mentioned the HOA would be the person to deal with. And do you have an HOA in the ordinances that it's written now? And there was some conversation with John about including the HOA. The question is, can you amend it to include the HOA right now? If someone wanted to do that, or would it have to go back to the planning commission? The opinion was that if you're going to include HOA in this ordinance, that it needs to go back to the planning commission, have them vote on it, then we
And then come-
present it that way.
Okay.
That's what Mr. Rader came up with today.
And I think it's healthy to, have one more bite at the apple, I think.
And we'll have it, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, just to quantify things so it doesn't go back, as a nebulous kickback to planning commission. Hey, what are the things we want to solve for? Let's get some handicap.
We can determine that, yeah.
clarification. The points, I think Eric's points are a list of details, but for me, that's, hey, does the ordinance already speak to those or does it not? And then the HOA element, that way it's quantifiable what we're asking the planning commission to do.
And we can get with you before we really.
yeah, we can, obviously I'm happy to hear from council specifically about what your concerns are, what you'd like to see addressed. I heard you tonight, Councilman Walker, so we'll.
I'm still trying to understand it myself. I mean, again, these are complex agreements. So I'm trying to understand the difference between this and something like Eagles Point. Is that owned, my assumption is Eagles Point's owned by multiple people where they own different properties within the so in a way, we already allow the subdivision of different commercial properties. And then they use complex overlays to make this happen, right?
That's a perfect example, but it's a, larger scale. But, I mean, I guess what we were thinking about was, possibly smaller scale stuff. So Eagles Point does have multiple owners and there is a private permanent vehicular access easement built to city street standards that connects from Interstate Drive to South Walnut Avenue. And that is the street frontage for the Academy location, for the PetSmart location. Those two, they don't have public street frontage, which is what the subdivision regulations require, or a street built to city street standards. And one of the deterrents to that are right-of-way widths, right? I mean, nobody, if you're going to do the 50-foot right-of-way, and build a public street, that's really the difference in helping with flexibility to allow it similar like a townhouse development.
But John, those aren't under individual ownership, each individual business. You've got multiple parcels that are separated, but like where you've got Five Guys, the ice cream place.
No, those aren't.
Those aren't.
No,
those are all on one track.
Yeah, it's like 5
One
tracks.
owner.
Yeah.
It's not really a condominium type development that's not a good example of a condominium type development.
But over there
What you're talking about doing is letting each of those individual units have separate ownership.
Yes.
That's just a subdivision, like Eagles Point is, but each of those
It has
Businesses would have separate ownership of their business. That's the condominium development.
Yes.
That's just a subdivision, what you're talking about, Eric, and that is split up and it does have easements, which it met all code. So this is a whole different thing than that.
But it has, there are individual parcels within that, but no, it doesn't divide up each individual commercial unit into a separate ownership. That's correct.
So how does this differ than the downtown buildings where they are all connected?
They all have public street frontage,
They all have public street frontage.
essentially.
So this really comes down to parking and how it gets shared. Is that kind of what I'm understanding?
Solved for use,
Access
for
and
use
parking
Yeah.
and use.
and use.
Well, there'll be utilities in it too, but how's that divided?
Yeah, I do have a question about that, but so if the utilities, are they getting run to the individual?
But still, it has to be addressed.
Yes.
To the
In townhomes, it's been done in separate ways, right? I mean, a lot of our townhomes early in townhome development here had all, they were master metered and had individual, it was privately held utilities. We pivoted from that and, we have public utility lines like water that runs through there, the sewer's private beyond, internal to the development. So, water is mostly public. Obviously, the electric is, not privately owned, but water and sewer.
But all that's manageable through the site plan process. I mean, they'll come up with the department will come up with their preferred scheme of management, whether it be easements or it's private dividing line starts here or there. They work through that.
Well, sure, but I'm just trying to understand, so like, if we bring water into commercial buildings to the lot, then we're gonna be responsible for the water line going under the commercial parking lot.
Depends on how it's worked out, because that's done different ways now. I mean, in some cases that is the case, but that would be older developments. We don't allow that now.
Okay.
It's private. But you got other things to factor here too. It's just like any type of residential condominium development. But for example, when you cut these into individual parcels, each one can't have a freestanding sign. So you still got a HOA. It's not an HOA, it's a property management agreement that would apply to that John would have standards for all this. You've got stormwater that each parcel didn't have their own stormwater. They're all tied into this. So it has to be a comprehensive look at the development. It just allows individual ownership of the units within that development.
So it sounds like got some questions, need to get a few more things hammered out in the spirit of keeping this going and hopefully finding a way to move forward with this. But is there any more discussion on it? Okay, so
I'll make my motion to move it back to planning commission.
I'll
got
second.
a motion and a second by Councilman Bachi.
Isn't that what we were already voting? I think.
No, we made a motion in the
And
second.
we took it off to have more discussion.
Oh, his got removed?
No, his never got removed.
Yeah, his was to go back.
Yeah.
Oh,
His was to go back.
Just for handicap parking.
Oh, okay. You want to add more to
Yeah,
it?
we've got a few more things and we'll make sure to get with John with this
Yeah.
more specifics and then, yeah, okay.
So you need to withdraw that motion and start over,
No,
I'm just,
or you amended his motion?
I thought we just had a motion in a second to put this ordinance as presented on the table.
No, it was to send it back.
Motion, what do you do with that?
Going back, but you want to add more too.
Okay. just-
We
Rescind all the motions. You want to amend it. Why don't we just rescind all
Rescind
the
all the motion.
motions and start?
clear table.
Reset.
Anyone would like to make a motion on what they would like to do with this?
Go ahead,
The
Eric.
motion to rescind?
I'll make a motion to send it back to planning commission to review the discussion points we've had. Further
We need to vote to rescind all the motions.
Yes.
Somebody make a motion to rescind all the
I'll
motions.
make a motion to rescind all the motions.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, so let's take a vote on that to rescind the motions. Add that in.
Can he motion to rescind his own motion?
Sure. Especially when it's getting ready to be unanimous. The rules are pretty clear. You can have a do-over.
Okay,
All right.
you're having a do-over. Got to vote on the do-over though, so you got to push your buttons.
Right.
Okay. 5 yes, motion carries to rescind all the motions.
Now I need a motion to send it back to planning commission if anyone wants to make that.
I'll make a motion, send it back to planning commission for further review.
Okay, got a motion
Second.
and a second by Councilman Walker. Any more discussion on that? Okay, we'll vote to send it back to planning commission.
Okay.
All votes correct.
5 yes, motion carries to send it back to Plan Commission. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, we removed 7B, so we're moving on to 7C now. Consider Resolution R251117, directing the Community Development Department to take the necessary steps for the City Council to consider holding a referendum on proposed Dodson Branch Road annexation area for the Tuesday, May 5th, 2026 Putnam County primary election. Mr. Ward.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. City Council held a public hearing on a proposed plan of services and annexation by referendum of the Dodson Branch Road annexation area at the September 4th, 2025 City Council meeting. This annexation was initiated by an annexation request from a property owner to annex approximately 65 acres located within the city's urban growth boundary. Upon studying the annexation request and to efficiently and effectively deliver public services, the city, upon its own initiative, included additional area in the annexation, bringing the total proposed annexation area to approximately 275 acres. With the city including additional territory, a referendum is required to annex this area. The next step to move forward would be for council to pass a resolution calling for a referendum to be held on the proposed annexation. We consulted with the Putnam County Election Commission, and they have advised that holding a referendum during a regular election cycle would be much more cost-effective than conducting a special election. Resolution R251117 directs the Planning Division to take the necessary steps and provide required notices for council to consider a resolution calling for a referendum on the proposed Dodson Branch Road annexation area, with that referendum to be held at the May 5th, 2026 Putnam County primary election. This will require council to hold another public hearing on a proposed plan of services and an annexation referendum to meet the required timing and notice requirements of Tennessee Code annotated. So I recommend approval of this resolution. Happy to answer any questions from council on this.
Thank you. Is there a motion? Motion made by Councilman Walker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Eldridge. Any discussion from the public? Discussion from council? Okay, can I take a vote on that?
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
7D, consider on first reading ordinance O251121, amending the municipal code of the city of Cookeville, Tennessee, Title 5, Chapter 7, Hotel Motel Tax. Mr. Coons.
Mayor and Council, hotels within the city limits collect 3% occupancy tax for each room rented throughout the month, and a return in the payment, the tax due is required to be remitted to the city by the 20th of the following month. The occupancy tax collected by each hotel should be set aside and not used for any other purpose, so that when the return and payment are due, the hotel has the funds to make the payment. If the return and payment are remitted on time, the hotel receives a 2% deduction of the tax due as a handling fee. If the return and payment are not remitted on time, the hotel does not receive the 2% deduction, and interest and penalty of 1% each are assessed on the total tax due for each month the return and payment are delinquent. Penalty and interest are meant for oversight such as postmark or filing errors, and not as a tool to justify the refusal to pay collected occupancy tax that is due. The majority of our hotels file and pay their occupancy tax on time. Many of the delinquent returns that we receive are just due to oversight such as postmark or filing errors. And when we reach out to the hotels to inquire about their delinquent return, they respond to paying in a timely manner before the next return is due. A few hotels, especially within the last couple of years, have made it a practice not to pay their occupancy tax returns on time or have paid with bad checks. The amendments included in ordinance O251121 have been reviewed by our attorneys and will amend the municipal code to update language due to changes in TCA, clarify existing language in the municipal code, and add needed tools to collect delinquent occupancy tax and hold hotels accountable. Highlights of the amendments include 5-703. This will make it unlawful to operate a hotel if their occupancy tax is delinquent 30 days or more. After discussion at Monday's work session, we added the 30 days or more to that item. 5-7062 changes the way deductions for stays of 30 continuous days or more are handled due to a recent change in TCA. 5-7101 clarifies how interest is calculated. 5-710-3 adds the possibility of auditing all the hotels owned by someone if they become delinquent at any single hotel, and the hotel owner would be liable for all the audit costs. 5-710-4 makes a hotel owner liable for the city's cost of collection if the city files suit in court to collect delinquent occupancy tax. Finally, 5-714 will require all hotels to maintain a registered agent and office in Tennessee where legal notice can be served. To allow sufficient time to communicate these changes to our hotels, the effective date of these changes will become effective February the 1st of 2026. I recommend approval on first reading of ordinance 025-1121, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Motion made by Councilman Bocci. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Eldridge. Any discussion from the public on this? Discussion from council?
I'd just like to say, I think that it's important to have these rules. When these hotels and motels collect tax off people staying, they are paying that tax, the city of Cookeville, and the hotel's collecting it. So for them not to pay that on to the city of Cookeville is akin to theft. And I think that that is not okay. And I certainly think we need to have these rules in place and actions in place to make sure that these things are happening as they should. And I do know that most of our hotels, all of them, except for maybe one, do pay their taxes on time and correctly. So I appreciate your work on this, Darren.
On that note, it's important, I think, to point out, none of this changes anything for the folks who are doing what they should be doing.
Yes.
That's right.
So,
Yeah, this is just for, and this isn't something we just arbitrarily
No.
made up. This is a problem we've had. It's cost the city a lot of time and effort to collect these taxes that are ours, that go towards our tourism industry. And so I'm glad that we're finding a way to make it a little easier for y'all, hopefully, to collect that.
One point of clarification, the actual hotel motel tax rate in Cookeville is 10%.
But we,
7 of that goes to the county. We only get a lowly 3% of that. So county's the one that gets the bulk of this. So just
Helping everybody out.
yeah.
right.
look at that.
Team
Yeah.
player.
So, yeah. All right, any more discussion? Okay, I've got a motion and a second. So we will go ahead and vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. 7E, consider authorizing the city manager to execute a contract for ERP software for financial record keeping, purchasing, payroll, timekeeping, human resource capital management, and cashiering. Ms. Neisman.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you know, we have been evaluating options to upgrade our citywide ERP software. Since 1997, we have used local government corporation systems, which are now outdated and inefficient for our current operational needs. The proposed ERP solution will centralize purchasing and timekeeping and provide, integrated functionality between modules to streamline processes and significantly reduce our reliance on our current paper-based systems. With the assistance of Soft Resources, our software consulting partner, we have conducted a formal RFP process, hosted demonstrations with the top 3 vendors, and after a careful evaluation, I'm recommending that we enter into a contract with Univeris, utilizing SAP by Design for the ERP platform and PDS for payroll and HCM, or human capital management. The 10-year estimated cost of this solution is $2,430,785, which includes a one-time implementation cost in the first year, as you can see the schedule. Pricing is based on the number of users for both financial and payroll modules and may vary slightly over time. Through negotiations, we have secured a 3.5% annual increase cap, which is favorable compared to typical industry rates. The implementation schedule is projected to take approximately 13 months from initiation to go live through completion, and could extend up to 18 months depending on project needs and scheduling constraints. I'm happy to answer any questions regarding this recommendation, but respectfully request your approval to enter into an agreement with Univeris for the implementation of this ERP software.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Motion made by Councilman Bocci. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Eldridge. Any discussion from the public on this? Discussion from council?
I'd like to say thank you for your hard work. I know this has been an arduous process. And these aren't decisions that ultimately you made decisions, but you had experts guiding you through this and all that. So,
We appreciate your support, that you guys are supportive of us spending this kind of money on software. The city manager is willing to do this and that Brenda even started this whole process.
I think the hours that you will save by going through getting an automated system will pay for itself.
I think so too.
Holly, I appreciate you recognizing Jenny about this and she has put a lot of hours in, but the party's just getting started.
It is. You're right.
Getting this implemented.
Yes.
So Jenny and several other of our staff will be spending a lot of time with this.
But this contract includes help from,
Yeah, well, the next item will address that.
yes,
Yes.
so, yeah, good job, a lot of work. Any other discussion? All right, we'll go ahead and take a vote. If James and Chad are done chit chatting. Okay, I'll take a vote, yeah. Oh,
All votes correct? 5 yes, motion carries.
thank you. Moving on to 7F, consider authorizing the city manager to enter into a professional service contract for Phase 3, Enterprise Resource Planning Consulting. Ms. Niswander.
So on the same agenda item, like from before, this Soft Resources has been an invaluable partner in our search for a new ERP system. Phase 1, they provided critical support with system evaluations and needs assessments. In Phase 2, they guided the city through the request for proposal process, coordinated demonstrations of the products, assisted in vendor evaluations, and supported contract negotiations. During Phase 3, Soft Resources will assist us with the implementation of Univeris ERP and the permitting and licensing software that has yet to be determined. And this implementation phase is expected to take place over the next 13 to 18 months and is a budgeted item. I respectfully request approval for the city manager to proceed with this phase and a not to exceed amount of $227,700. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion made by Councilman Walker, seconded by Vice Mayor Eldridge. Any discussion from the public? Discussion from council? All vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. And 7G, consider Medicare Advantage Plan renewal for January 1, 2026 to December 31st, 2026. Mr. Millions.
Mayor, council members, I'm asking your approval and authorization to renew our Medicare Advantage plan with Blue Cross Blue Shield for 2026. This runs on a calendar year, not a fiscal year as our regular insurance plan does. We've been a participant in this since 2017. We currently have 159 participants. That's an increase of 2 since last year. The only change in this, which is fairly significant, is an increase in the monthly premium, which goes from $277 to $299.20 or $22.20. We don't really have any choice in this if we want to stay in this plan because this is a system-wide, Blue Cross system-wide increase for the Medicare Advantage plan. But I believe that our participants, and this again is for retirees, are happy with this program, and I would recommend for your approval to renew at the new rate.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Bocci. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Eldridge. Any discussion from the public? Yes.
Trenton Stroh, City of Cookville. I was going to speak during the public comment, but this seems to be the perfect time for this item right here. Thank you for, I actually wanted to commend the council for reviewing the renewal tonight for the city's Medicare Advantage plan for your retirees. And it just might seem like another agenda item that you have tonight, but many people in our community, it does provide peace of mind. One of my mentors who's retired from the city's electric department after decades of service depends on this plan. Like many retirees, he's on a fixed income. Having coverage that helps costs lower and helps with prescriptions and doctor's visits makes a real difference in the quality of his life. That's what this renewal is really about. It's making sure the people who built this city can still afford to take care of their health after years of taking care of all of us. The city also provides healthcare for employees under 65, I'm sure as well, just like most employers do. And the county does the same for teachers, school staff, and other public workers as well. In both cases, the local government helps cover part of the cost, so workers and retirees can help access affordable care, hence cost sharing. That's what a subsidy really means. It's an investment in people, not politics. Now imagine if this plan wasn't renewed and every retiree in Cookeville showed up here at City Hall frustrated and angry because they're seeing their premiums double or triple overnight. That'd be a real mess. The outrage would be justified though, because these are people who earn the right to stability after a lifetime of work. They shouldn't have to choose between groceries and medication. What's happening here connects to the larger national conversation about whether to keep federal help in place for families who buy coverage through the marketplace. Like a worker who probably works at Seven Senses, actually I know works at Seven Senses for $9 an hour. It's the same kind of using shared resources to make affordable health care for people who otherwise might struggle to pay for it. When the city renews this plan, it's actually doing what good employers do. It's making healthcare more affordable for those who've dedicated their careers to public service. And that's not political, that's responsible, and that's what good government looks like. So I thank you for continuing to invest in the health and well-being of those who've invested so much in this community, and for setting an example that affordable, dependable healthcare is worth protecting. So thank you for giving a subsidy for the City of Cookeville employees and retirees tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else who'd like to speak to this item? Okay, seeing none. Any discussion from council? Okay, go ahead and vote.
All votes correct. 5 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. That concludes the agenda portion of the meeting. Is there anyone who'd like to speak to the council on any non-agenda items? Okay, seeing none, I do need to make an announcement. We have a meeting scheduled for January 1st of 2026. I will not be up till midnight the night before. I'll probably be asleep by 10 o'clock. But we are going to go ahead and cancel that meeting on the 1st. If anything does come up, we need to have some type of special session. We'll let everybody know. So January 1st, 2026 meeting will be canceled. Also, we've got Veterans Day ceremony, the high school one. Correct? Yeah. Oh, no, this one's tech. We have a lot of Veterans Day stuff. I know the Veterans Day parade is Saturday, 8 o'clock, starting at 10:30 in the courthouse. This is the Tech Veterans Day ceremony is on Monday, the 10th, and I think the high schools is on the 11th, but don't quote me on that. I'll quote you on that. 11th? Okay. Yeah, so lots of Veterans Day celebrations going on, and rightfully so. So if you can participate or join any of those, please do. And